I'm talking to Bonnie Winslow and Tony Carfang. And why don't you guys tell us why you had this event? First of all, tell us what your organization is. You're wearing name tags, Bike Oklahoma. Talk to us a little bit about what Bike Oklahoma is.
Sure. Bike Oklahoma is the statewide advocacy group for all things bicycling and safe streets related. So we focus on legislation, we focus on education, we focus on building community through bicycles, through rides, through commutes, and the whole gamut. We firmly believe that bikes can save the world.
How can bikes save the world, Tony?
Well, for instance, we have an obesity epidemic, a childhood diabetes epidemic here. Mm-hmm. We have children who are being driven to schools, breathing the exhaust of the cars that are waiting to pick them up, which impacts their learning. Mm-hmm. If we make safe streets where people can walk, or where people can drive, bikes or vehicles. If we make safe streets where that type of transportation is enabled, it not only improves their activity, their health, it also improves their education. Studies have shown that kids who are more active do better in school. They have better attendance rates and better academic grades. On top of that, plenty of studies have shown that obesity is a major factor in all types of cancers. And so if we have good infrastructure to support active transportation, heck, even just walking to the bus stop is healthier for you than driving a car. So being able to allow everybody to have the choice to bike, not just for recreation, but for their 3-mile or 2-mile trip to the grocery store, brings healthy physique to everyday life.
Bonnie, why are you spending extra time to work with Bike Oklahoma?
I've been doing this now for about 8 years, and I first started doing this when I went to the first Bike Summit in 2011. I think, like Tony, I see that bicycling is an answer to a lot of the problems we have in our country and the world. And whether it's getting people to ride for exercise or to ride to go buy groceries, it all helps make it a better place to live. So that's the reason why I got involved. I find it exciting, and I bike myself. I enjoy it.
Tony, how long have you been in did both of you form Bike Oklahoma, or did somebody else have you inherited the organization as leader?
Oh, I'm not the leader. Our president, Kenneth Graham, has been around for quite some time.
Okay.
I've actually only been in Oklahoma for about 5 or 6 years. I used to live in Boulder, Colorado. I moved there specifically for bike racing, and I mean, I'm addicted to bikes. They are wonderful. The breeze through your helmet, the ability to smile at your neighbors, it's just all golden. And so I got addicted to bike racing and moved. I chose grad school for the bike racing, moved to Colorado where they plow the bike lanes, bike paths before they plow the roads.
Wow.
So it just became a natural part of my life because the infrastructure was so good and made it so easy. When I moved here into Oklahoma, the infrastructure is definitely lacking. But the people are way more polite, and the lack of density means I can usually find a safe street to ride on. And the dedication that my wife and I have built up in Colorado, we just kept that habit here. So naturally, it was only a matter of time until I found Bike Oklahoma, and the passion carried itself.
Tony, you are on the Better Streets, Safer Cities committee, right?
Correct. Just the sales tax portion, not the bonds portion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. You made a comment tonight that I think you said that in so many years that you've been on that, there's just been one citizen come to speak to the group. You know, and my first thought was, I wonder if anybody knows that's really okay or not. So why don't you just kind of talk about that a little bit? Anybody might be watching this video.
Sure.
So just talk about that dynamic right there. Is it okay for people to come and speak to your group?
Sure. So the official name of the committee is the committee. CNEAB. The Community and Neighborhood Enhancement Advisory Board. It is an interesting name. Everybody just calls it the Better Street Safer City Committee.
Right.
So Better Street Safer City is about $700 or $800 million dedicated to enhancing the police force, enhancing road quality, and bike infrastructure and sidewalk infrastructure. It's portioned into a bond portion and a sales tax collection portion. The sales tax collection portion is about $240 million. My committee oversees that for street resurfacing, for sidewalk enhancements, for bike lanes, and for trails. We meet every month on the first Monday of the month, and at every meeting at the end, towards the end, there is an open comments from the board and an open comments from citizens every single month. Now, the only citizen who has spoken at City Hall during these committee meetings was back in June. A few weeks ago, I guess word is getting out, we had a workshop in downtown Oklahoma City, not at City Hall, but same idea for the meeting, a little bit more in depth about the trails or about the bike infrastructure. And we had probably 9 citizens there, and a lot of them spoke up.
Yeah.
So things are, people are realizing if they've got the time, that they can.
Where do you meet?
So the committee almost always meets at City Hall.
On the horseshoe
On the
there
horseshoe.
in the city council chambers?
Correct.
3rd floor of City Hall, 200 North Walker. Yeah. So what do you find yourself wishing that you would hear more of from the public anyway? What do you know, somebody's out there going, well, what do they want to know from us anyway?
Honestly, so we have a limited set of data. The city may have a limited set of data from which they're making decisions, a limited set of opinions from which they're basing it on, and a large book of standards that is a little bit, dare I say, archaic, to try to design to. They're constantly getting better and more data comes available, but that data isn't always reflective of exactly what the citizens are looking for. There might be data there for the way the citizens are driving around or the way the citizens are taking current bus routes, but that doesn't tell us that the citizens would prefer a slightly different bus route or would prefer different traffic signal timing or would prefer different streets repaved and restriped. So hearing first and foremost from the citizens at street level what the perspective is either from the driver's seat or from the saddle really gives us important insight to work with.
Bonnie, what are some of the biggest challenges for most bike riders here in Oklahoma City?
I think it's just the traffic and crossing intersections. There are a lot of streets you have to cross where there aren't lights, and so I experienced that just recently. You get stuck someplace and you almost want to turn one direction to come back the other direction because you can't make it all the way across. A lot of our streets are really wide, and there are just no safe places to get all the way across. So I think that's one of the big ones, the amount of traffic. But then I think also it is that people don't know about secondary routes that maybe they can take to get them at least kind of close to where they want to go. So I think that's part of it. Protected bike lanes, marked bike lanes, all those things are nice to have and will make people feel more safer when they're riding.
Tony, you used a term tonight that I'd never heard. Talk about streetlights and the triggering mechanism that some people know there's a loop underneath the street there typically. Talk about, you used a term tonight that has the word red in it. Talk about that.
Sure. So the dead red law has been on the books for a while, and I'll get to that in a second. So these induction loops, when I was a lot younger, I thought they were weight sensors, but they're actually induction loops to detect metal in cars. And some of them are sensitive enough to detect the pedal of a bike when you get it really close. The problem that comes up with that type of a system is if you don't have that much metal or if you can't trigger it, the light doesn't know that anybody is there to change to a green. Mm-hmm. So
it just keeps traffic going across in front of you.
Exactly,
Yeah.
And there's no respite, no ability for the helpless metal-free vehicle or metal light to get across. So this has been a problem for motorcycles. This has been a problem for bicycles. In 2009, the state passed the dead red law for motorcycles, which means if the red light is not being triggered, if it doesn't know you're there and you've been there for a certain amount of time, it's not specified in Oklahoma, but to know that it is in fact not detecting you, then you are allowed to proceed when safe. So if there is a break in traffic, you are then allowed to proceed through the red light. Now, you do still have to come to a stop first, and you do have to determine that, in fact, the light is not detecting you. So it's not all chaos. So that was in 2009 that it got passed for motorcycles. The original bill did have bicycles in it, but it was explicitly struck out. So in 2018, Representative Jason Dunnington worked on trying to get it passed. It didn't quite make it out of committee. Sorry, it made it out of the House. It didn't get heard in the Senate. This year, after a little bit more education and collaboration with other people in the legislature, as well as the Department of Public Safety signing on, it got the support to logically pass, and it's just common sense. The infrastructure is not designed for a type of user, then there needs to be some safe or at least legal way for them to be able to proceed.
Okay, good. Well, Tony and Bonnie, thank you very much. Let's just close out with you talking about what your next event is. Let me just let you give a plug for your next event here.
Sure. So on Sunday, on September 15th, we're doing a bike ride and safety in numbers demo. It's called Critical Mass. We'll be meeting at Pitts Park in Northeast OKC and riding to Myriad Gardens. It'll just be a lot of fun with a huge amount of community on bikes. We'll have some city members there, some city leaders there speaking, and yeah, just collaborating and building community with bicycles. That then feeds into next month, the Oklahoma Bike Summit.
And the Oklahoma Bike Summit is our 6th. We'll be having it at the Oklahoma Department of Transportation building on Friday, and then Devon Boathouse on Saturday. It's open to everybody. I encourage, whether you're a cyclist or you're a planner, if you have interest in learning to be a better bicyclist or bicycle advocacy, go to bikeok.org and you can get more information.
And you were telling me a while ago that the Oklahoma Department of Transportation, ODOT, they are getting more on board about bikes and bike infrastructure now, right?
I think they are, and I think that's reflected in the fact that they volunteered their commissioner's room for holding our Friday sessions. So we're very excited about that. We're getting some really good feedback from them, and we're happy to see that.
Very good. Tony Carfang and Bonnie Winslow, thank you very much. I'm Brett Dickerson, Oklahoma City Free Press, freepressokc.com.